So just doing this video to give you some initial thoughts on my strategy on how I plan to approach SundaeSwap. And there's a couple other things that you should probably know about. So let's get into it. In SundaeSwap, in a previous video, I explained the different ways that you can participate. That was by staking your ADA for the ISO to receive SundaeSwap tokens as rewards. As well, you can contribute to the liquidity pool within the SundaeSwap DEX that will be launching at the same time as the ISO. And as well, you can also just plain out buy the Sundae tokens on the DEX, just like Uniswap or any other DEX. Now, I also did a video the other day on a technical update for week 19, and it does seem that we really are getting closer to the swap. They're moving towards having the audit done. Pretty much once the audit is done, they get a chance to look back, fix anything they need to, if something needs to be fixed. And pretty much at that point, they should be free to move forward in launching the SundaeSwap platform. Now, in regards to the strategy, looking at the first portion, which I'll say is the ISO, my opinion on that is, why not? So as far as the ISO, just like you're staking your ADA, you would stake your ADA with the ISO and you would receive the SundaeSwap tokens. Now, it's up to you to decide if you want to stake all of your ADA or not. That's a personal decision. Now remember, I am not a financial advisor, just simply giving you my opinions. Before you do invest, seek the help of a professional. So why would you not go ahead, put those in there and get the rewards that you can? Now, obviously, the more people that do participate, those rewards will be spread out. So that is something to think about. This project has a ton of hype, but that's a good thing, right? With hype, brings people in, and we know what that does to a token. It's all supply and demand. So I'm a big fan of the thought of the ISO. Now, when it comes to the next way that you can participate, let's look at contributing to the liquidity pool. For those of you that don't know, just like on Uniswap right now, you can contribute to a liquidity pool. And what you would do, and I'm going to use Sundae for example, I can bring in ADA, we'll say $500 worth of ADA. I could bring in $500 worth of another token, that being one that's on the Cardano blockchain. And when I do that, I'm contributing to the pool. That allows other people to trade the token. And for that, I get a percentage of the fee, the trading fee that is, as a reward. That is the second way. I have contributed to different liquidity pools before, but something that you really need to take note of, if you've never heard of it before, is impermanent loss. Now, the easy way to explain impermanent loss is, as I said, I put in 500 worth of ADA, I put in 500 worth of the other token that would be on the DEX to contribute to the liquidity pool. Whenever there are price fluctuations, and let's say the price of one of those assets, ADA or the other token, goes up, what ends up happening is impermanent loss. Now, it's impermanent loss because you haven't pulled the liquidity. Now, at the point that you pull the liquidity, that does become permanent loss. So that really is something that you do want to think about, and not to mention where we're at right now in this cycle. We know there's going to be volatility, and we think a lot of that volatility is going to be to the upside. So impermanent loss is a real factor. Now, I did hear that the team is going to try to work on some way to work with impermanent loss or to counteract that, but I'm not sure that that's a fact right now. And there are other liquidity pools, such as like Balancer, that have found different ways not to do the 50-50, to find a way to kind of strategize around it. But you do need to think about that. And at the end of the day, when it comes to impermanent loss, what you have to realize is this. It's basically, is it better off to just hold the Sundae token or the ADA then contributing to the pool. And ultimately, that's what it is. So when I take that $500 of ADA, $500 of the other one, while I'm holding that, you are gaining those fees. But would you have been better off just holding those two separate? And would they have made you more? Now, sometimes impermanent loss is fine because the fees that you collected still made it better off for you at the end of the day. You still ended up with more. But that is not always the case, so that's something to think about. If you want to know more about impermanent loss, ask me some questions in the comment section, but I wanted to keep it really simple. That's something that you do need to think about. And also, when you are farming, that is one way to kind of offset impermanent loss. I was recently farming, yield farming that is, and I did suffer impermanent loss, but the tokens that I gained pretty much offset that pretty well. So I was fine with it. So I do think because of where we're at in the market, I personally don't know if I would be wanting to participate in the liquidity portion of the SundaeSwap DEX at this time. Haven't made up my mind on that, but that is something I wanted you to know. You need to think about that. And for the final way, just plain out buy it. The thing about buying it on the DEX, the Sunday token that is, you just need to think about the fact it does depend on when you get in. Anyone who's gotten into the launch of some coin on Uniswap, you know it shoots up sky high. The truth is those who get in first do make out the best. Now, ultimately, if you're willing to get in and hold for a while, in my opinion, it's going to pay off. But I'm telling you, the hype around this project, this thing could explode on day one. But the question is, are you going to get left holding the bag? And you have to think about that. So I wouldn't just go in blindly. That's why it's so important also to pay attention to when this thing is going to launch. I'm constantly getting on the site, paying attention, looking at the updates to make sure that I know when this project is going to launch. So you really have to make a decision. Are you going to participate from the start? I've heard some people say their strategy is to let it go up and then come back down. It typically does happen, but we don't know. It just depends on how this market sets in. And if you've been paying attention, it does look like currently Bitcoin and ETH are set to explode basically, and the rest of the market is probably going to follow suit. So those are just really my strategies. Don't know about contributing to the liquidity pool at this point. I do believe as far as participating in the ISO, that is a good idea. And then finally, as far as buying it, at this point, yes, I do plan to try to get in very early, but I'm just going to pay attention to it. And then on the flip side, I do want to be a holder of this project for a while. I think it's going to have a great deal of success. And I think this project's really going to help Cardano go to the next level. You need activity on the blockchain. And when you look at the amount of trading that goes on like the Uniswap, it's major. That activity, being able to farm, being able to do all these different things in the ecosystem is going to make a difference for Cardano. Plain and simple. So, tell me which way in the comments you plan on participating in SundaeSwap. One other thing I want to add really quickly is I did see something about the fact that this project will have order books. Now that's pretty awesome. Now order books are great because you can basically place an order to buy or sell at a certain point. They're talking about how they're going to manage that. Now basically the way that they're looking at doing that is managing it through kind of a governance model and through a pool. So it's a little more detailed than I want to talk about on this particular video, but I did just want to mention that point. To be able to have order books, I think that's awesome. It's giving you some features that a centralized exchange has, some of them anyway, that people do like, but still you get decentralization, and I think that's great. If you do want me to do a video explaining more in depth about those order books and how they work, just let me know in the comments and I will do that. Make sure to hit the like button If you like the content, make sure to hit the bell for notifications so that you get the latest videos that I post. And as well, if you're not subscribed to the channel, think about subscribing. And I want to thank each and every person who has subscribed. Really, the community and everything is just growing, and I appreciate it. I think we've got a good amount of time left in this bull run, and we are going to have fun together. Trust me when I say that. I will see you next time.